All right, so welcome back to another episode of, Bo Knows. So the Common Sense Coalition, or the Coalition for Common Sense, I can't remember how we always talked about it. So I don't know if you guys have followed it, but recently there was a video that was by CNN, where there was a CNN reporter that was going to Trump rallies and talking about the fact that Trump was supposedly a threat to democracy. He only wants retribution, he only wants revenge, blah, blah, blah. The reality is, I think they forgot that we know what a Trump presidency will look like, because there was one for 4 years. He already did it. And none of the crap that they talk about actually happened the first 4 years. What makes you think the next 4 is going to actually happen? It's just scaremongering tactics to try to make you not understand the truth. But they go to this rally and talk about a threat to democracy. And then the people at the Trump rally, who are at least somewhat understand how our government actually works, point out to the CNN reporter, we're not a democracy, we are a republic. The problem then goes a little deeper when the reporter says, well, what's a republic? And many of those people can't actually answer that question. So I thought maybe I'd kind of give a little bit of a civics class today and explain it the way I understand it to be. Because if you really think about what the framers did, the founding fathers did, not only were they brilliant in their concepts, but they understood the bad in men. They understood what can happen when bad individuals have higher office. And so they tried to do their very best to get rid of that. So it's true we are a republic. It's true that we are a democracy. Both things can be true. We are not a true democracy. So the synonymous part of democracy, we are a representative democracy. True democracy is mob rules. It's that simple, right? So if right now people think that it's okay for President Biden, he got elected by a majority of the people, whether you don't have to win with a majority because we're a representative government that has an electoral college, and that was set up to make sure that we didn't concentrate power in any one particular area. But people think because President Biden was elected that somehow he's just allowed to make whatever law he wants to make. We didn't elect a king. We elected a person to represent us. But here's the way the government's supposed to work, because we are a representative government. So the founding fathers knew and understood that the House of Representatives was supposed to be that part of the government that was closest to the people. That's why it turned over every 2 years. That's why we vote for our House of Representatives every 2 years. They're the branch of government that's supposed to be closest to the people, that understands the will of the people. We representative democracy, synonymous with republic. So we vote for our representatives, we send them someplace, and they're supposed to do our bidding based on whatever we ask them to do. So the Senate was set up to be voted in every 6 years, because they were supposed to be the contemplative side of the government, the one that kind of took the laws that the people were making in the House of Representatives and thought it through and gave it its real meaning and understanding, and they didn't have to worry about turning over every 2 years. It was every 6 years. In between that, they established the presidency, the executive branch of our government, and it was supposed to be, it is 4 years, but it was supposed to be set up as the defense mechanism for the states, right? So our federal government has 13 enumerated powers. The way it was originally set up was all of those enumerated powers were the only thing the federal government was supposed to be responsible for. Everything else was left to the states, because the founding fathers knew and understood the further away from government we get, the less representative it is of what the people in a particular area want. What's happened now is we have bastardized our representative government. We don't have representative government anymore. We've gotten so far away from it. I think it was Woodrow Wilson. Don't hold me to that, but I'm pretty sure it was Woodrow Wilson, who was a socialist, that said that Russia did it wrong. They tried to institute socialism through revolution, and we were going to do it through evolution. We were going to play the long game, take as long as we needed to try to get it all installed. First of all, socialism doesn't work. It's been proven over and over and over again that it doesn't work. Capitalism is the greatest form of government. The Founding Fathers knew that there were monarchies, right? A monarchy works, it can work, if you have a just person as the monarch, if you have somebody that cares, if you have somebody that wants what's best for everybody and is trying their best to do the just and right thing. But that same monarchy can turn to hell if you have Henry VIII who chops people's heads off because he doesn't like them, right? So you can get that monarchy to the other side, and so it doesn't work. You have an aristocracy, you have monarchies, you have our democracy or our republic that is representative. I also think it was Benjamin Franklin that said, when all of it was done and the Constitution was written and everything was taken care of, I think it was Benjamin Franklin that said, we've given you a republic if you can hold on to it. We're 260 years, 275 years into it now, and it still is the greatest country on earth, but here's where the bastardizations come in. We no longer are represented by our representatives in government. Watch all of these federal agencies, the alphabet agencies that are the deep state in our government. Watch them get called before Congress and testify, and watch them literally laugh at the Congress people who are supposed to be their boss. These federal agencies got created by somebody else in government, and in theory, they're supposed to answer to the House of Representatives, who controls the purse strings for all of our government, and yet they don't really care. Because they're entrenched, they've been in their job for 20 years. These Congress people, they're going to get voted out in 2 years. We'll just primary them out or find somebody else or whatever. I don't have to listen to you. And they literally have concentrated all of this power in Washington, D.C., when the Founding Fathers and what made our country great knew was if we could do it in the states or the counties or local governments, we were all going to be better off. Now, it's so convoluted that we send our dollars to the federal government, who then determines how many of those same dollars they're going to send back to us in the states to run our Department of Education, and we should never have a Department of Education, nowhere in the Constitution, but it's like all of the other agencies that are created, right? I don't know. There was no Department of Education when I started school, and somehow the schools all ran really well, but then all of a sudden we got to have this Department of Education. Anyways, so they bastardized the entire government by taking away the true meaning of the representative democracy or republic that we started with, and now if we don't find a way to get back to the founding principles of what made us a great country, we're going to be lost, and it will be lost quickly. And most of it comes because people don't think. Nobody's educating themselves anymore. There used to be this thing called street smarts versus book smarts. And I absolutely know that most of you out there know people who are brilliant. They can recite, algebraic formulations and perform calculus and trigonometry and all the stuff I could never do. But they don't know how to boil an egg, right? They get confused if it has to turn on a stove and make the water boil. That's the difference between common sense and street sense and book smarts. And we lost our common sense. I don't know when it happened, but I also want to point out this because it just dawned on me. So the elites, all of the people out there that are trying to tell us we don't know what we want, we don't know what's best for us, we have to have electric cars, we have to do this, we have to do that, we have to eat bugs, we can't eat meat, can't do this, can't do that, because they know what's better for us, right? And they talk about what rubes we are and how we're uneducated. Who runs education in this country for the most part? I'm pretty sure it's government. I'm pretty sure we can call it public education, but it's truly just government education. So if the government is responsible for educating us, and we're uneducated, supposedly, who does that fall on? That government? The same people who keep screwing everything else up? So somewhere around COVID, though, we exposed the inability to have any common sense whatsoever. We exposed it by telling people you have to put a mask on. But then people thought, well, why aren't you wearing a mask? And my whole thing that we heard, it was the pandemic of the unvaccinated. That never made any sense to me, because my whole thought was, well, wait a minute, if you got vaccinated and you're good, and if supposedly the vaccination stops you from getting it, why are you worried about whether I'm vaccinated or not? It's not whether I'm vaccinated or not doesn't change whether you're vaccinated and protected. That's what makes common sense. And if a mask somehow works, why do I have to wear a mask if you got one on? You're already protected. You don't need my mask, doesn't matter. But no, we lost all form of common sense because the government told us we should. They said, stay 6 feet apart. Okay, we'll do that. Here's these little, we literally had signs on the floor of every store you went into that said, stand here, and people, let me stand right there. We lost complete common sense when we heard that you could have liquor stores and cannabis stores open, but churches weren't allowed to be open. You could go to the liquor store, but you can't go to Thanksgiving with your pals. You can go to Costco and Walmart, but you can't go to that corner store down the street because that's going to be it. You can't go to the gym. And oh, by the way, when you're outside in the fresh air with the sunshine, the two things you need the most of, fresh air and sunshine, make sure you put your mask on even if there's nobody around you. What happened to common sense? What happened to, this makes no sense. You're putting masks on 10-year-olds and telling them to run outside in 100-degree weather. And people just went along with it and somehow got invested in it like it was real. It was insanity that people believed all that crap. And by the way, I have this thing that all these conspiracy theories, Hunter Biden's laptop was a conspiracy theory, that it was misinformation. Give it 3 years and it comes out, oh yeah, that's real. The vaccine's going to create problems for people, that's a conspiracy theory. Give it 3 years. Oh yeah, hey, by the way, we've learned vaccines create problems. Oh, the lab leak theory, that's conspiracy theory. Guess what they're saying now? Yeah, it's probably happened in that lab over there, where about a mile from where it actually originated. We told you it happened in some pangolin or something. No, it actually happened out of that lab over there. Conspiracy theories that they tell you are conspiracy theories, given a long enough time continuum, turn out to be true. I don't know what we do, how we get back to using just common sense. By the way, I don't know if you guys saw it the other day, there was a Senate staffer, I think it was a Senate staffer or a House of Representatives staffer, that tweeted out a picture of his student loan. It was $8,560. He's had this student loan for 14 years. And Joe Biden just wiped out his debt. And so he said, thank you, Joe Biden. Elections matter. My student debt just got paid off. And I thought, okay, so let me do some quick math. 14 years, $8,560. So in 14 years, making $80,000 a year, you couldn't pay off $569 a year in principal, but yet you're going to thank Joe Biden? And by the way, Joe Biden didn't do jack crap. The people that are out there paying the actual bill are the people paying the actual taxes. Joe Biden didn't reach in his pocket and pay off your debt. He reached in all of our pockets and paid off your debt. Don't be thinking Joe Biden. Go shake the hand of every single taxpayer, every truck driver, every plumber, every bricklayer out there. Go shake their hand and tell them thank you for paying off your debt, because that's who actually paid it off. I don't understand why people can't just learn. Why they don't understand. You don't live your life on TikTok. Don't get your information from Facebook. Actually do a little bit of research and have some knowledge as to how our government works, why it works the way it is, why it was set up the way it was originally set up, and how it can work best for you, instead of just living in a vacuum and listening to these crazy people that keep trying to convince you of something. They have a motive. Power. That's their motive. They want to continue to concentrate the power in places like Washington, D.C. The only way it gets stopped is if people like me and you actually educate ourselves and use a little bit of common sense. All right, that's it for today. I hope you guys learned a little bit. Come on back next time for a little bit more of Bo Knows.